I didn't start suspecting my wife because of lipstick on a collar or a mysterious text from Jim Buddy. No, I started suspecting when I found my own cologne, the one she hates, the one she once gagged at and called high school desperation on her pillow. A heavy, unmistakable musk of my scent, too fresh to be old, clinging to a place I hadn't laid my head in over 2 weeks. I hadn't slept on that side of the bed since I started pulling all-nighters at the office to meet a quarterly deadline, and now suddenly my scent was back, bold and new, like a ghost trying too hard to be noticed. It didn't smell like memory, it smelled like guilt trying to imitate intimacy. She was in the shower when I found it. I didn't say anything, just stood there, inhaling the faint betrayal soaking into cotton fibers. I didn't storm in, I didn't scream. That's what she would expect, what they always expect. I just walked out of the bedroom, my fingertips brushing against the pillowcase like I was reading Braille from a crime scene, and made myself a drink. It was 10:13 a.m. on a Saturday, but betrayal doesn't care about the clock, so why the hell should I? I sat at the kitchen counter, swirling whiskey over ice like I was washing away the years. The silence between us had been growing, that slow, sour silence that seeps into a marriage like black mold, and now I knew why. Her laughter had become thinner lately, like she was laughing at a joke I wasn't in on. Her eyes lingered longer on her phone than on me. And worst of all, she'd started being nice again. Not loving, not affectionate, just nice, the kind of nice that always comes before a breakup or a murder, depending on the lighting. The real kick in the teeth? Her sister, Amber, had warned me. Not directly. Amber never meddled. But she dropped subtle breadcrumbs over wine and family dinners. "You guys still happy?" she'd ask, not in curiosity, but in pity. "You ever worry about losing her?" And one time, just 3 weeks ago, when we were standing alone on her porch at 1 a.m., sharing a quiet smoke away from the noise of her baby shower planning committee, she said, "If she ever screws you over, I'll help you bury the body." I laughed then. God, I actually laughed. But now, with cologne ghosts haunting my bedroom, I wasn't laughing. I watched my wife walk out of the bathroom wrapped in the same towel she always used, the one with the frayed corner she refused to throw out. Her hair was dripping down her back, her skin glowing from steam and scented lies. She smiled at me, that thin-lipped, wide-eyed smile that made her look like she was playing house with someone she secretly hated. She kissed me on the cheek. Her skin was warm, her lips soft. "Thanks for letting me sleep in," she said, as if I hadn't been gone all night. As if she wasn't sleeping in someone else's arms, then washing it off under our hot water. I asked her casually what she had planned for the day. She said she had to help Amber finalize details for her baby shower. Amber was expecting her first kid, and my wife was her self-appointed event planner. I nodded, said I might come by later. She hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. Just long enough to register, but short enough for her to pretend she didn't mean anything by it. "Sure," she said, with a brightness just a bit too forced. "Amber would love that." I knew she didn't want me there. I knew why. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. That's the thing about betrayal. If you play your cards right, it becomes leverage. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want a fight. I wanted a reckoning. So I started planning. Not vengeance. Not yet. Just observation. Collection. Quiet. Strategic documentation. I began watching her the way a biologist watches a snake behind glass, studying its patterns, its habits, waiting for it to strike. I waited for the moment I'd catch her slipping, not in the act, but in the lie. Because that's the real betrayal. Not the cheating. It's the pretending. The pretending to love you while hating you enough to destroy you slowly. And once I had enough, once I was sure, then I'd move. And when I did, it would be at the baby shower. In front of every woman she respects, every relative she wants approval from, every friend she secretly competes with. It would be at the moment she felt most in control, most proud of herself for pulling off the perfect party. And she would never forget it, not because of the shock, but because of who would be standing by my side when the truth dropped like a guillotine. Her sister. The one person she trusted to have her back. The one person I trusted to help me bury something deeper than a body, her illusions. I used to think we were solid. Not fairy tale perfect, not social media pristine, but real, the kind of real that made sense in the quiet hours, when you're both half asleep on the couch after a long day, her legs on your lap, her fingers tracing lazy circles on your arm. I brought her coffee every morning, even though she always changed her mind about whether she wanted oat milk or almond. I covered for her when she forgot birthdays, defended her when she snapped at waiters, built her a desk by hand during lockdown because she said working from the kitchen table made her feel unfocused. I thought I was investing in a life together, a joint future where the payoff wasn't money or vacations or trophies, but trust. The kind of trust that means something. But slowly, so slowly I almost missed it. The life we built together stopped including me. At first, it was small things. She started locking her phone. Not with a password, but with her fingerprint. The same finger I used to kiss when she burned it cooking. She said she was just being cautious, that her work emails had confidential stuff, and she didn't want anyone snooping. I didn't question it. I trusted her. She was still smiling, still laughing at my stupid impressions, still wearing the necklace I gave her when I proposed. But the smiles were shorter now. Her laugh had a new edge, like it was straining to sound sincere. And then there were the absences, not full disappearances, just time that didn't add up. Like how she'd go for a quick coffee run and come back an hour and a half later, smelling like a cologne I didn't recognize. Not every time, just enough to make me wonder if I was imagining it. She'd be buzzing with energy when she got back, talking a mile a minute about her vision board, about manifesting abundance, about how she'd finally found her calling. I asked her once what that calling was. She said she wasn't ready to share it yet, that I wouldn't understand until she'd fully realized it herself. Then she kissed me on the forehead like a mother tucking in a child who asked too many questions and went to bed early. I told myself she was just growing, finding herself. Women go through phases, right? That's what every talk show and self-help book says. So I didn't pry. I gave her space. I even took on more chores to free her up, laundry, dishes, making her smoothies in the morning with the exact number of blueberries she liked. She thanked me, but the way someone thanks an assistant, not a partner. Then came the boundaries talk. Out of nowhere, during dinner, I was telling her about my day, and she cut me off mid-sentence to say she needed to talk about emotional boundaries. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She said she felt like she was carrying too much of my emotional load and needed to focus on herself more. I asked her if I was being too needy. She said it wasn't about that. She said it was about energy hygiene. I didn't even know what that meant, but I nodded like I did. She stopped asking me how my day was after that. And when I told her anyway, she'd nod distractedly, scrolling through her phone, eyes flickering like static. One day, I came home early and saw her in the backyard, on the phone. She was laughing, her head tilted back in that way she used to do with me. She didn't see me. She looked young again, lighter, like a version of herself I hadn't seen in months. I stood there for a while, just watching, until she noticed and waved. I asked who she was talking to. She said Amber, but she'd told me Amber was out of town that week, visiting their aunt in Vermont. I didn't say anything. I just kissed her cheek and told her dinner would be ready soon. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was angry, but because I couldn't make the pieces fit. She still held my hand when we watched movies. Still wore my hoodie to bed. Still said, "I love you," before falling asleep, but it sounded like someone reciting lines from a script she hadn't read in years. I checked her social media the next morning, not to spy, just to feel connected. But her profile had been made private. I couldn't see her posts anymore. She said she was doing a digital cleanse, protecting her peace from the noise. I wasn't sure if I was the noise. Then, one afternoon, I borrowed her car because mine was in the shop. She'd left it for me in the driveway with the keys on the dash. I opened the center console looking for sunglasses and found a hotel receipt, 2 nights, downtown, under a name I didn't recognize. The receipt was dated the same weekend she told me she'd gone to a yoga retreat in the mountains. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I put the receipt back exactly where I found it. Because I needed more. Not more evidence, more understanding. More clarity on who she was becoming. I wasn't just losing my wife. I was losing the person I thought I knew, piece by piece, while she smiled at me like nothing was wrong and told me to be patient while she realigned with her truth. And in that realignment, I realized there was no space left for me. It happened on a Thursday, the kind of Thursday that pretends to be ordinary, until it guts you. I had left work early, not for any reason I could articulate, just a quiet urge to be home. Something primal. Something that told me the facade was getting thin. I parked in the driveway and saw her car there, which was strange. She was supposed to be out with Amber, helping pick out final decorations for the baby shower. I stepped inside and the house was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. The kind of silence that makes your spine tighten and your stomach drop before your brain catches up. Her shoes were by the door, kicked off like she'd come home in a rush. A bag of groceries on the counter, milk, eggs, wine, strawberries. Nothing about it made sense. She never drank wine on a weekday. And strawberries? She hated strawberries. Said they made her tongue itch. I walked down the hall and paused outside our bedroom. The door wasn't fully closed. There was a noise. Not moaning. Not kissing. Not the kind of pornographic cliché you brace yourself for. It was a laugh. Low, breathy, and intimate. The kind of laugh that lives in private corners. That's when I heard his voice. Not loud, but close, too close. Talking about how risky this was. Saying her name the way I used to when we were teenagers, and everything still felt electric and infinite. She told him not to worry, that I wouldn't be home until later, that she checked the traffic on my route and I was probably stuck in the usual bottleneck. She sounded confident. Comfortable. Like this wasn't the first time. Like they had a routine. A system. I could hear the creak of the mattress, the soft shuffle of bodies shifting. And then I heard the sound that ended everything. She whispered something, not words, not really, but a tone. Soft, high, a kind of needy plea, the exact sound she made when she used to say my name while curled against me at night. The exact sound I hadn't heard in months. My throat dried up instantly. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I just stood there, listening to the final nail being hammered into the coffin of everything I thought I had. It wasn't the betrayal. It was the effortless familiarity of it all. The ease. Like this was her real life, and I was just the placeholder she endured until her next fix. I stood there for exactly 47 seconds. I know, because I counted. Not because I was anxious, but because counting gave me something to hold on to. 47 seconds of standing outside my own bedroom door while the woman I sacrificed for, the woman I trusted without fail, gave herself to someone else in the bed I built for us with my own hands. I didn't open the door. I didn't knock. I didn't even look inside. I turned around and walked back down the hallway like a ghost retracing its last steps. I picked up the grocery bag and set the wine in the fridge, like it was just another day. I left the strawberries on the counter. Let them rot. I walked into the garage, sat on the workbench stool, and stared at the wall for a full hour. Not crying. Not screaming. Just recalibrating. Adjusting. I felt something inside me click, like a lever being pulled. And that's when I knew I was done being the fool. I wasn't going to confront her. That would give her drama, attention, a scene to twist into victimhood. I wasn't going to leave in a fury and abandon the house I paid for. I wasn't even going to ask why. I already knew. She wanted more. Something exciting. Dangerous. Something that didn't carry the weight of shared bills and forgotten anniversaries. She wanted a fantasy. And what she didn't realize, what she couldn't possibly predict, is that I was about to become the nightmare that followed. Cold, precise, deliberate. Not out of hatred, but out of clarity. Because now I understood. Love isn't what you say, it's what you protect. And she hadn't protected anything. Not me. Not us. Not even herself. So I began to plan. Not for a confrontation. Not for revenge, not yet. For exposure. For an ending so undeniable, so complete, that there would be no coming back. No excuses. No pity. Just the perfect moment, orchestrated to shatter her carefully curated image of control. And when it came, she wouldn't see it coming, because I wouldn't be the angry husband yelling on the porch. I'd be the smiling ghost in the background, already halfway out the door, hand in hand with the one person she thought would never turn against her. The hardest part wasn't discovering the truth, it was pretending I hadn't. Pretending I was still blind, still loyal, still dumb enough to believe that yoga retreats came with champagne and strawberries. I became silent in the way that made her more comfortable, not less. I didn't retreat. I engaged, but with precision. I kissed her goodnight. I brought her coffee in bed. I told her she looked beautiful even when she was running late and left her makeup half done. She smiled, relieved, mistaking my calm for naivety, not realizing I was now in reconnaissance mode. I didn't want to catch her in a lie. I wanted to know how far she was willing to go with it. So I started small. I told her I had a surprise coming to her office. Her eyes flickered, not joy, not curiosity, but fear, just for a fraction of a second. She recovered quickly, smiled, and said, "You're too sweet." The next day, I sent flowers. White lilies. Her favorite, or at least, the ones she used to say were her favorite, back when she still told me things. I arranged the delivery for 2:30 p.m. sharp and waited. She didn't say a word. No call. No thank you. So I checked. The receptionist at her office, someone I'd met at their holiday party, casually confirmed that my wife hadn't been in all day. She was working remotely for the rest of the week. Interesting, since her calendar said otherwise. I didn't confront her. Instead, I pretended I forgot about the flowers. The next test came when she told me she and Amber were spending the weekend together for sister bonding. I knew better. Amber was out of town. I knew this because I asked Amber myself the week before, casually, while handing her a baby shower invitation that I accidentally printed with the wrong date. She corrected me without hesitation. You mean the following Saturday, right? I'll be in Chicago this weekend. So when my wife kissed me goodbye that Friday night, suitcase in hand, all I did was smile and say, "Tell Amber I said hi." She smiled back, not a flicker of doubt in her eyes. That's when I knew she was in too deep, not just cheating, but weaving an entire alternate life. That night, I drove past the hotel downtown. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. Her car was parked outside, license plate slightly tilted like it always was. I took a photo. Timestamps. Evidence. Not because I needed to prove it, I already knew, but because I was building something. Slowly. Patiently. Then I got creative. I had a mutual friend, someone she trusted, someone in our extended circle message her from a fake Instagram account. Not with flirting. No, that's too obvious. Instead, a message saying, "Hey, I saw you at the Winston last weekend. Were you there for the gallery opening too?" Harmless. Seemingly innocent. A place she never mentioned. I waited. She responded in minutes. Yes. I was there with my sister. Beautiful exhibit. She wasn't. She was with him. No gallery. No Winston. Just the lie, and her ease in telling it. I saved the screenshot. Then I checked our bank statements, something I hadn't done in months, because trust makes you lazy. I found 3 recurring charges to a boutique hotel spa downtown. A place I'd never been. One charge on a Tuesday morning, during work hours. Another on a Sunday afternoon, the same Sunday she told me she was visiting Amber's prenatal yoga class. And then one during my business trip last month, when she spent the weekend organizing the guest room. The charges weren't for rooms. They were for couples treatments. I called the spa, spoke to the receptionist, said I lost my appointment info, gave her my wife's name. She said, "Oh yes, she comes in often with Mr. Calderon." I asked if she could spell that. She did. I thanked her and hung up. I didn't scream. I didn't even blink. Just sat there and added the name to my list. Calderon. Her coworker. The one she always said was too intense and a little full of himself. Interesting how men become more attractive the moment they start agreeing with a woman's every insecurity. I checked her phone one night while she was in the shower. Not snooping, not really. She once gave me her passcode and never changed it. I never had a reason to use it. Until now. I went to the Notes app. That's where people hide things when they think they're clever. There it was, a grocery list, a to-do list, and then, buried in the middle, a draft message to someone named Javi. "I wish I could sleep next to you without guilt." She never sent it. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she was saving it for a special moment. I closed the app, locked the phone, put it back exactly where I found it. Every move she made, I was 3 ahead. Every lie she told, I laid a trap behind it. I wasn't watching her anymore. I was mapping her like a hunter studying tracks, wind, scent. She had no idea the walls were closing in. No idea she was living in a maze I was designing with surgical precision. Because when the trap finally sprung, I didn't want there to be a single thread left for her to pull. Just silence. And the sound of everything she built crashing around her. She thought it was a surprise party. That was the beautiful irony. She walked into the rooftop restaurant in her favorite emerald dress, the one she bought just for special nights, heels clicking like a countdown, expecting a dozen smiling faces to yell congratulations or happy anniversary. Or whatever other milestone she imagined I still cared enough to celebrate. The space was dimly lit, classy, with candles flickering on every table, jazz humming low in the background, but there was no crowd. Just me, seated at a corner table, alone, sipping whiskey like I was trying to burn the taste of her out of my mouth. She paused, smile faltering just slightly, confused but trying to stay composed. I waved her over with 2 fingers and a faint smile. She sat across from me, clutching her clutch, scanning the room again. "Where's everyone?" she asked, blinking rapidly. I said nothing, just slid a small black envelope across the table. She looked at it like it might explode. After a moment, she opened it. Inside were 3 things: a still photo of her kissing Javi outside the Winston Hotel, a spa receipt listing romantic couples massage, and a printed message from her Notes app. She stared at them, mouth parted but silent, eyes bouncing from paper to paper like she couldn't decide which one would be easiest to lie about. "It's not what you think," she said finally, softly, automatically. I raised one brow. Just one. That was enough. She adjusted in her seat, spine tightening. We weren't sleeping together. That was just flirting. It got out of hand. I picked up my drink and took another slow sip. Still silent. Okay, she said, voice growing sharper. Maybe I made a mistake, but you haven't exactly been present, have you? Always working late, always distracted, acting like I'm invisible. What did you expect? I set my glass down, the clink loud against the silence between us. You weren't invisible, I said, finally. You were seen. Every day. That's what makes this worse. Her eyes flickered. She leaned forward now, defiant. You're being dramatic. It wasn't serious. You're making this into something it's not. I let the silence stretch again. I wanted her to fill it with excuses. She obliged. You always want everything perfect. I was drowning, and you didn't even notice. And when someone did, she paused, swallowing. It felt nice. To be wanted again. I nodded, just once, slowly. You wanted to feel something. So you destroyed everything. Impressive logic. She huffed, leaning back, arms crossed now. You think you're so righteous, like you've never done anything wrong. You weren't even there. You don't know how lonely it gets when your husband treats you like a roommate. I leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice calm and soft. If I was just a roommate, you wouldn't have to lie. You wanted to keep the house, the ring, the dinners, the status, and still play teenager behind my back. That's not loneliness. That's entitlement. That landed. Her mouth clamped shut. Her eyes darted to the waiter passing by, then back to me. You planned this whole thing just to humiliate me? She asked, voice lower now, defensive giving way to fear. No, I replied. This isn't the humiliation. This is the invitation. She blinked. Invitation to what? I smiled. To the real consequences. They're coming. I just wanted you to see the first domino fall. Her hands were shaking now, barely, but enough that she noticed and clenched her fingers together. What are you going to do? She whispered. Nothing tonight, I said. Tonight, we just eat. Like nothing's wrong. You'll smile. Laugh. Act like you're still the devoted wife. Because everyone around us still thinks you are. But tomorrow? That's when your reality starts unraveling. Her face went pale. You wouldn't. I held her gaze. You really thought I'd find out and just walk away quietly? You underestimated me. That was your first mistake. Thinking you could cheat and keep your safety net intact? That was your second. The third? Well, you'll see that one soon enough. She looked around the room again, suddenly less sure of herself, like the candles and tablecloths were a trap. Why here? She asked, voice unsteady. Why in public? I stared at her, expression unchanging. Because I wanted you to feel cornered. Not by me. By the truth. Her mouth opened, a retort ready, but no words came out. Her eyes filled, not with tears, not yet, but with the realization that the game had changed. She wasn't the one holding the pieces anymore. I was. And I wasn't bluffing. The silence stretched again, thick and humming with tension. Neither of us moved. Neither of us stood. The night hung in the balance, frozen in that moment where her past collided with the consequences, and she realized the exit was already sealed. She tried to keep her voice calm at first, tried to sound composed, rational, the way someone does when they're still clinging to the illusion that they have control over the narrative. But it cracked quickly. You think this makes you strong? She hissed, knuckles white against the edge of the table. You think sitting there, acting all cold and superior, makes you better than me? You were never really there. You smothered me. You wanted everything so perfect all the time. It was exhausting. I didn't flinch. Just kept my eyes on her, unreadable. She waited for a reaction, anything. But when I gave her nothing, she pivoted. Fine. You want honesty? She snapped, leaning forward like a prosecutor about to deliver the killing blow. You bored me. You were so damn predictable. Wake up, go to work, bring home takeout, watch the same shows, have the same conversations. I felt like I was dying. He made me feel alive. I just nodded slowly, as if noting it down. That shook her. She needed a reaction, outrage, heartbreak, begging, anything to prove she still mattered to me. But all I gave her was silence, and in that silence, she started unraveling. Say something. She barked. You always just sit there and think that silence makes you wise or something. It doesn't. It makes you a coward. I looked at her, and in the calmest voice I could muster, I said, if silence is cowardice, then why are you so afraid of it now? She blinked, her mouth twitching. You think this is all me? That I'm the villain here? You don't even know what it's like to feel invisible. To feel like you're just an accessory in your own marriage. I leaned in slightly, still quiet, still cold. I gave you every part of me. You sold it for a compliment and a hotel room. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. You act like you're this perfect victim, she spat, her tone growing vicious, desperate. But you're not. You're weak. You just sat back and let it all rot. A real man would have fought for me. I smiled in small, cruel, effortless. A real woman wouldn't have needed to be fought for. That one hit like a gut punch. She recoiled, then lashed out harder. You don't get to do this. You don't get to act like you're better. You're broken, just like me. I shook my head. No, I was loyal. You were just loud. Her mouth twisted, fury and panic swirling behind her eyes. You want me to beg? Is that it? You want to watch me fall apart? She asked, voice cracking now. I won't. I won't give you that satisfaction. I stared at her for a long moment, then said, You already did. You just don't realize it. She slammed her hand on the table, drawing looks from nearby diners. You don't care about me at all, do you? I finished my drink in one slow swallow, set the glass down, and answered, Not anymore. And that's what's killing you. She stared, eyes glassy now, the edge in her voice trembling under the weight of it. You can't just shut it off like that. You loved me. I nodded. I did. Until you taught me not to. Her shoulders sagged then, the bravado peeling off like cheap paint. So what now? You leave? You run away and act like I never existed. I looked her dead in the eyes. No. I walk away. And I let you explain everything to everyone else. The questions. The judgment. The silence. I let you live in what you created. Her lower lip quivered, just slightly. You're cruel. I shook my head. No. I'm just finally done playing nice with someone who never played fair. She sat back, eyes flickering between hate and hurt, the power draining from her inch by inch. She tried to find something sharp to throw back, some final insult that would pierce through, but she couldn't find it. Not because she didn't have venom, but because she knew, truly, finally knew, that I wasn't listening anymore. Not to justify, not to forgive, not to fix. I was beyond it. She could scream, cry, curse, confess, none of it mattered now. Because the part of me that once bled for her had already healed into something harder, something colder. And in that moment, with all her manipulations laid bare, she realized the truth that terrified her more than anything else. She had no power here anymore. And I wasn't walking away angry. I was walking away empty. And that was far worse. Revenge wasn't a moment. It was a blueprint. One I drew up in silence, executed in shadows, and refined with every lie she told me over the years. The beauty of betrayal is that it hands you every weapon you need to destroy the betrayer. They do all the heavy lifting. All you have to do is pick up the pieces and arrange them into a masterpiece. So I started quietly, the night after that rooftop dinner, while she was still spinning stories to herself about how maybe we could heal, or rebuild, or whatever scripted nonsense she'd seen in movies where the man forgives for no reason. I opened the folder on my hard drive, encrypted, redundant backups already prepared, and printed everything. Hotel receipts, spa invoices, the gallery message, the Notes app screenshot, bank statements, GPS history from our shared family tracker that she forgot I had synced to the tablet in the kitchen. I made hard copies and digital ones, sorted by date, labeled with color-coded tabs like I was preparing an audit. Because that's what this was, a moral audit. And she was already bankrupt. Next came the finances. I logged into our joint accounts and began the slow, silent siphoning. I moved my paychecks to a private account she didn't know existed. Froze the joint credit cards with a single call. Set alerts on every financial transaction tied to my name. She wouldn't notice yet, not until the cards started declining. I contacted the mortgage company and refinanced the house under my name only, citing fraud risk, providing documentation of ongoing marital separation. The paperwork slid through without resistance. The house was in my name first anyway, she was just a secondary. Now she was nothing. The car? Mine. Bought it before the marriage. Her name was never on the title. I changed the locks on the home office, the one I converted into a spare room for her side projects that never materialized, and packed her belongings into neat, impersonal boxes. No notes. No drama. Just items stripped of meaning. I called the utilities, removed her access, transferred every bill to my new solo account. The life she took for granted was now leased by me, and I was done renting it to her. Then I went for the network. Her parents always liked me, trusted me more than they trusted their own daughter, if I'm honest. I called her father. Calm, respectful, deliberate. Told him I wouldn't be attending the baby shower after all. When he asked why, I sent a single photo, the kiss outside the Winston. He didn't reply. He didn't have to. Her sister already knew. She had known for a while, and after I hinted that her name might come up in the aftermath if things got messy, she made it clear she wanted no part of it. Which worked fine for me. Her silence was permission. Then came the surgical strike. I sent a message to her boss. Not angry. Not slanderous. Just a short, professional email. I'm stepping away from a joint investment due to recent personal developments involving your employee, her name. You may want to review workplace relationship policies to protect your firm from liability. Attached is some relevant documentation. No further comment. I didn't need to elaborate. The attachments did the work for me. One spa receipt signed by her, one time-stamped message between her and Calderon discussing their work dinners, and a screenshot of her planning a business trip with him that never involved business. I didn't want her fired. I wanted her watched. I wanted her to sweat through every staff meeting, wondering who knew, waiting for the shoe to drop. Every conversation would feel like a threat. Every polite smile from a colleague might be laced with judgment. I wanted her to live in a house made of her own broken mirrors. Meanwhile, I spoke to a divorce lawyer I'd already vetted, who specialized in high-conflict dissolutions. I came in with my documentation neatly organized, dates highlighted, narratives clear. We filed within the week, irreconcilable differences, full documentation of infidelity, financial misconduct, and abandonment of marital responsibilities. We requested asset protection, sole rights to the house, and a clause for reputational damage mitigation. The papers would hit her desk at work, served just before lunch, right after her weekly team meeting. I timed it to perfection. She was still waking up late, sipping tea on the balcony, thinking I was processing. She had no idea I was finalizing. She still thought she had time to spin the narrative, maybe gaslight me into reconciliation, maybe cry her way into sympathy. She didn't realize I had already walked out emotionally, and now I was just packing the rest of the structure behind me. She didn't see the strings being pulled. Not the accounts freezing. Not the social circle turning. Not the HR scrutiny tightening like a noose. She'd start noticing soon, slowly, then all at once. When the card was declined. When her boss started looking at her differently. When her parents stopped answering her calls. When the shower guest whispered instead of smiling. And when she turned around and realized I was already gone, living better, thriving without her shadow, that's when the real punishment would begin. Not because I ruined her, but because I proved, without a word, that she never mattered as much as she believed. The baby shower was her grand stage, her moment to shine, the event she'd spent weeks planning down to the color of the napkins and the font on the place cards. Because appearances were everything to her, especially now, when she desperately needed to reclaim control. She wore white, as if purity could be stitched into a dress, with her hair curled just enough to look effortless, her makeup perfected with a precision that betrayed how hard she was trying to look unbothered. The venue was filled with people she once thought she ruled, her friends, her family, her colleagues, all mingling beneath pastel streamers and a soft acoustic playlist, sipping mocktails and smiling too politely. She held court near the gift table, laughing just a little too loud, gripping her sister's elbow as if physical proximity could rewrite emotional distance. I watched her from across the room, leaning against a marble column with my hands folded, blending into the backdrop, not needing to do anything, because I'd already done it all. Every single person in that room knew. They had seen the evidence. Not in a dramatic burst, not with screaming and accusations, but quietly, over the past week, in private messages and forwarded emails, in hushed conversations and screen-shared calls. Her father had called me personally, not to ask, but to apologize. Her mother had gone silent. Her best friend, Talia, was standing beside me now, not her. And Javi? He didn't even show up. Because when I confronted him, one phone call, no threats, no emotion, he folded immediately, said it wasn't serious, said he thought she was separated, and then ghosted her before the fallout could reach his office. The air in the room was thick with pretense, smiles stretched too thin, eyes darting like they were waiting for a speech that might never come. And then it happened. One of the girls from her book club, sweet, sharp, the kind who always knew more than she let on, walked up to her with a gift bag and said, "It's so brave of you to still show up after everything." The room froze, silence falling like a curtain. My wife blinked, her mouth forming a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "What do you mean?" she said, voice too high, too cheerful. "Oh, you know," the girl replied, smiling sweetly. "After the whole Javi thing, I just assumed you'd cancel." But I guess you're owning it. A nervous laugh escaped her lips, one that quickly died when she saw everyone watching, everyone not stepping in to save her. Her eyes flicked to her parents, who suddenly found their drinks incredibly interesting, to her sister, who stepped back without a word, and finally to me, standing still, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Her face changed. Cracks appeared in the mask. "It's not like that," she said, a little too loud now. "You're all just listening to him. He's spinning everything. None of it's real." No one responded. That was the part that hit hardest, the absence of reaction, the vacuum of support. "He's manipulating all of you," she snapped, pointing across the room at me. "He's cold. He's controlling." I was trapped. "You don't know what he's really like." Still, no one answered. Someone coughed. Someone else shifted awkwardly. Her voice rose. "You're all sheep. You're just believing whatever he tells you because it's easier than facing the fact that marriages fall apart sometimes. That people change." A silence followed, heavier this time, and she knew then. You could see it in her eyes, the widening, the panic blooming behind her pupils. Her breathing hitched. She tried to laugh again, but it came out strangled, brittle. "Oh, come on," she muttered, scanning the faces. "You're really going to judge me? All of you." She turned toward her best friend, her former best friend, who stood beside me now, arms folded. "Talia, say something." Talia didn't move, just stared at her, the kind of stare that doesn't just condemn, it mourns. And that's when she broke. Her hands trembled, mouth quivering. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "It was supposed to be harmless. It was just one time. Then two. Then." Her knees buckled slightly. She caught herself against the table, eyes brimming. "I didn't want to lose everything," she choked out. "I just wanted to feel something again." And then she looked at me, truly looked, searching for rage, for heartbreak, for anything she could grab hold of and twist back into control. But I gave her nothing. No expression. No anger. Just presence. Still. Watching. Witnessing her collapse in real time. She opened her mouth to say something else. Maybe a plea. Maybe an insult. But no words came. Only breath. Shaky, shallow. And in that breathless moment, surrounded by the people who once adored her, now watching her fall with quiet detachment, she realized the truth she had spent so long denying. There was no redemption coming. No dramatic reconciliation. No forgiveness scene. There was only this, her shame, her silence, and me. Still standing. Still watching. And somehow, that broke her more than if I'd screamed. It was supposed to be a recovery dinner, her mother's idea, not mine, a last-ditch effort to heal the family tension and bring everyone back to the table, as if charcuterie and Chardonnay could fix what she detonated. We were seated around a long, polished oak table in her parents' dining room, flanked by relatives who used to smile at me like a son and now looked at us both like they were waiting for the next news story to drop. Her father sat at the head, stern and silent, eyes shadowed with disappointment. Her mother clutched a wine glass like it was the only thing keeping her hands from shaking. My brother was there too, arms crossed, already expecting fireworks. And then there was her, seated beside me, poised, perfectly dressed, wearing that tight, forced smile she always used when she knew the room was slipping from her. The air was thick with fake pleasantries until she broke it with one knife of a sentence. "I think it's time we stop pretending this was all my fault." A hush fell. My brother scoffed. Her mother's wine glass hit the table too hard. I turned my head slowly toward her, expression blank. "You want to go there? Right now? In front of everyone?" She rolled her eyes, suddenly bold. "Go where? To the part where you turned into a stranger? Where I had to beg for affection while you buried yourself in your job and acted like I didn't exist?" Her voice was rising now, heated, desperate. "You think you're so perfect. You think because I made one mistake, one." I cut in, voice sharp, eyes locked. "Let's count them together. Was it a mistake when you lied about the business trip? When you let him into our house? When you smiled in my face, kissed me, told me you loved me, right after being with him?" Her jaw clenched. "You don't know everything, no," I snapped, standing now, leaning over the table. "I know enough. I know what kind of person looks in the eyes of someone who'd die for them and spits in them anyway." Gasps. Chairs shifted. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." But she didn't stop. She stood too, shaking now. "You don't get to judge me like you're some victim. You were emotionally vacant. Cold. Controlling. I had to build my own happiness because you weren't man enough to be part of it." Her father flinched at that. Her mother stood halfway up, whispering her name like a warning. My brother looked at me, ready to step in, but I held up a hand. "No," I said. "Let her finish." Let her explain how I drove her to destroy our marriage, our family, her own damn integrity. She tried to walk away, but I stepped to the side, cutting off her path. No more running. You want to be honest? Let's be honest. You lied. You cheated. You manipulated everyone in this room. You used your sister as a cover. You used your job as a smokescreen. You used me as a safety net. She was crying now, full-on tears streaking her cheeks, voice trembling as she shouted, because I was drowning. And you just stood there and watched. I didn't flinch. No. I gave you a lifeboat. You set it on fire. The room was dead silent. She turned to her father like a lifeline, but his eyes were cold, arms folded. Dad, she whispered, reaching out. He took a step back. Her mother had her face in her hands. Talia, her former best friend, stood from her chair and left the room without a word. And then, the final nail, Javi stepped in. Yes, he had the nerve to show up late, trying to slip in unnoticed, thinking maybe enough time had passed. But he saw the room, the tension, her mascara smeared and her voice cracking, and he froze in the doorway. You, I said, pointing at him like a rifle. The man who helped dismantle a marriage and then ran the second it wasn't convenient. He opened his mouth, stammered. I didn't save it, I snapped. She was never yours. You were just the mirror she needed to justify hating herself. He stood there, useless, shrinking. She turned back to me, pleading now, voice breaking apart. Please, just stop. Just stop. And I stepped back, looked around the room at the people she once manipulated with ease, now standing in judgment. You don't get to ask for mercy now. Not after the lies. Not after the games. You danced on the edge of a cliff and dragged me with you. Now you get to watch what happens when I let go. She dropped to her knees, sobbing, in front of everyone. Her father looked away. Her mother cried silently. Javi slipped out the door. And me? I buttoned my jacket, turned, and walked out, head high, dignity intact, leaving the wreckage behind me like a storm that no longer had my name on it. After the storm came the silence, the kind that stretches across months and leaves a bitter taste on the skin of anyone who lived through it. She disappeared for a while after that night, vanished from the social feed she used to curate like a gallery of fabricated perfection. Her Instagram turned into a blank icon, her Facebook into a ghost town of frozen memories. Talia blocked her. Her own sister stopped answering calls. Friends unfollowed. Coworkers whispered. HR finally caught wind of the workplace affair, and while they didn't fire her outright, she was strongly advised to resign to preserve what little dignity she had left. Calderon? He never looked back. The moment the whispers turned into facts and the guilt started costing more than the thrill, he cut all contact. She moved out of the city 3 weeks later, packed her life into boxes, and rented a one-bedroom apartment in a low-rise complex 2 towns over, where no one knew her name or her sins. I heard she got a job at a coffee shop, one of those places where you wear a name tag and fake a smile, where people come and go and never ask about your past. Her parents stopped defending her after that dinner. Her father changed the locks on their vacation home. Her mother told mutual friends, in a voice trembling with humiliation, that she didn't raise her daughter to destroy lives. And through it all, I said nothing. I moved on. Quietly. Cleanly. Sold the house, started over in a different neighborhood. Built a life without landmines. I didn't date at first. I just healed. Alone, deliberately, without the weight of her shadow following me. Months passed before I heard from her again. The message came on a Sunday afternoon, a simple notification that sat on my phone screen like a smudge. I still love you. I never stopped. Can we please talk? I didn't respond. 3 days later, she showed up at my doorstep, unannounced, in the rain. Her hair was soaked, her coat hanging loose like it didn't belong to her. She looked thinner, smaller. The kind of small that comes from shame, not hunger. Her eyes were puffy, her voice raw. Please, she said, voice cracking, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. She flinched when I didn't invite her in. I was stupid, she whispered. I was selfish. I know that now. I ruined everything. I lost everyone. I wake up every day, and it's like I'm still falling. I said nothing. Just stared. She kept going, desperate now. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. And I broke it. I broke you. But I swear, if you just give me a chance to prove you don't exist anymore, I said, quietly. Her mouth opened, then shut. Like she wanted to argue, but didn't know who she was arguing with anymore. Because I wasn't hers. Not even in memory. What we had, I continued, died the day you chose convenience over character. She sobbed then full, body-racking sobs, the kind you can't fake. She fell to her knees on my porch, begging me like the roles had reversed, like the betrayer had the right to ask for mercy. I didn't touch her. I didn't lift her. I didn't console the ruin she had become. Get up, I said. You lost the right to fall apart in front of me. And then I walked back inside, closed the door, and left her there, in the cold, in the dark, in the mess she made. She knocked for a while. Then it stopped. That was the last time I saw her. The last time I heard her voice. And as far as I'm concerned, that woman is gone, replaced by a cautionary tale in a dress that used to mean something. And if she's listening to this right now, if she somehow thinks this was a confession or a last goodbye, let me be clear. This isn't for her. This is for you, the one listening, the one who made it to the end. Thank you for sticking with me through all of it. I needed to say this, and you gave me your time. So now I have to ask, where are you listening from? And did you feel it? Did you enjoy watching the mask slip? Because I sure as hell enjoyed tearing it off.